believe I've been doing this podcast this long and have not thought about the topic of anime. I love anime. Why haven't I thought about talking about anime before? Well, you know what? We're doing it now. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about all the different animes that I have seen, that I am still yet to watch. My watch list. I have a very big watch list of anime, and just going through some anime that I've watched back in the day, anime that I maybe would have started watching when I was a kid, sort of like my first animes, and then sort of going from there. Anime has been part of my life for a very long time. I would have to say, I think the first anime that I recall watching was Sailor Moon back when I was probably still in primary school at that time. Very young. And I don't know, something about Sailor Moon just really hit me. And I used to love watching it every morning before going to school. On TV, and it was one of those shows where, like, even though Sailor Moon was about teenagers going to high school, I still felt like it kind of related to me. I was still able to enjoy it. It was very colorful. Then you had the girls turning into Sailor Scouts, and that was also very mesmerizing. And so, as a kid, I would always feel like I could be a Sailor Scout. But I think back then, Sailor Moon was definitely my first anime that I had ever watched. And then, growing up, I think I may have kind of fell off of Sailor Moon for a little while, but it was still always at the back of my mind of, I really want to find a way to watch Sailor Moon. But back then, there was no such thing as a streaming service, but the only other way that you could really find anime was going to your local video store and renting out, VHS or DVDs, as time progressed. And I don't think I ever got the opportunity to do that because I don't think anime was it wasn't popular enough that people would go out of their way to want to buy it or rent it at a video store. And so I kind of went like years without watching anime, or at least Sailor Moon specifically. And so Sailor Moon just kind of drifted out of my mind for a little while until it got to a point where I rediscovered it in, I'm going to say, my early 20s. Maybe after I had graduated high school, going into my early 20s. And I remembered after seeing, I would see all this merch whenever I'd go shopping and I'd see Sailor Moon, be like, oh, I remember watching Sailor Moon growing up. But yeah, even then, and I'm showing my age here, even then, there wasn't really a streaming service here, but anime was starting to get a bit more popular. There were ways of purchasing anime here, including like manga, and like you'd have to go to a specific specialty pop culture store, and most of those pop culture stores, at least for me here in Melbourne, were in the CBD. So I'd have to travel into the city to be able to go and purchase any kind of anime related anything. Because none of the shopping centers or malls, if you prefer, had those kind of like pop culture stores. They were very infrequent and far between. So, but it got to a point where there were some specialty pop culture stores that were popping up in some shopping centers that I ended up finding some anime, and I'd find Sailor Moon merch, and then I would find, at some point, I ended up finding Sailor Moon manga. And I think my first set of manga was the actual Sailor Moon series, the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon manga. And I absolutely loved it. And by that time, I think streaming services started becoming a thing. Around that time, before Crunchyroll was the main anime streaming service, back then, for us here in Australia at least, we had a service called Anime Lab. And that, boy, Anime Lab was a great streaming service. I absolutely loved using Anime Lab. They always had something there for everyone. And, the fact that they were also giving us, subbed and dubbed options was really cool. So being able to have Anime Lab was definitely really awesome for me. And I think from that moment on, I rediscovered my love of anime, because I will say Sailor Moon wasn't the only anime I watched growing up. There were times where I came across some other anime. I'm going to say, I don't know if this is actually an anime or if it's just a cartoon. But I'm going to double check to make sure that what I'm remembering is not just a plain old cartoon, but it was actually it is an anime. Okay, all right. I just had to do a quick little IMDb search. And the anime I'm talking about from back in the early 90s that I remember. And I feel like maybe this was my first anime show that I ever watched. But for whatever reason, my brain is remembering Sailor Moon first and then this one. And you are all going to be like, what the heck is this show? What the hell are you talking about? Never heard of it. Or you're going to know what I'm talking about. And then you're going to turn around and be like, really? You enjoyed that? Or maybe it'll be a nostalgia kick for you. Who knows? Please tell me what you think when I say the Samurai Pizza Cats. I, for whatever reason, absolutely loved watching the Samurai Pizza Cats back when I was young. And I think this was probably my first ever anime. Probably this before Sailor Moon, but my brain's just remembering it the other way around, but who knows. Samurai Pizza Cats. Does anyone remember that show? The caption reads, the feline staff of a pizza joint fight crime as superheroes when called for. This was actually really fun. There was only 54 episodes and it ran from 1990 to 1991. There were half-an-hour episodes. And there was so much fun. I don't know why. So there were three samurai cats. And they have these, they kind of look like they're wearing suits of armor or kind of like mech robotic sort of armor. But you can see their faces come through from their helmet, so there's no actual face shield of any kind. And obviously they have their samurai swords. I don't really remember too much of the plot of the show, but there was a lot of action involved, considering they were samurai cats. And pizza was also involved because they worked at a pizza place. You could say this anime might have been the inspiration to Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. I don't know. But it was good fun. I recall enjoying it back in the day. I tried rewatching it as an adult, and I have to say, I kind of judged my young self. I tried watching it as an adult, and after a few episodes, I thought to myself, what was it about this show that I really liked? I don't know that I'd be able to sit through the rest of these episodes to watch it all. But you know what? I feel like I need to rewatch it just for the sake of the fact that there is a game coming out based off of this show. They're making a video game on the Samurai Pizza Cats, and it's called Blast from the Past. Oh my gosh. As soon as I saw this, thanks to a community member, Sephiroth, thank you very much. Thank you if you are listening. I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention. They posted in the Discord saying with a link that said that the Samurai Pizza Cats are getting a video game, and I was like, I have not thought about this show in so long, and after 30 years, they're making a video game. And you know what? I actually want to play it because it's a 2D platformer. They're making it into a 2D action platformer, and it looks like fun. And now I feel like I need to go back and watch the show just to refamiliarize myself with the story and the characters. Samurai Pizza Cats is definitely most likely the first anime that I watched when I was a kid. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I don't know whether I'll enjoy it as an adult anymore, but I'm going to try again. I'm going to see if I can find a way to actually rewatch this anime somehow. And I'll get back to you and let you know whether or not I actually still enjoy it. I'm going to give it a second chance because I tried watching it probably about a decade ago. So I was still in my mid-20s at that point. But I don't know whether 10 years later, if my mind has changed. But we shall see. So Samurai Pizza Cats is definitely one that I will mention here. Now, I'm just going to go through some of the animes that I have watched in recent years, only because there's probably a lot of other anime that I have watched that I've forgotten about and I just don't remember the names of them. So it's one of those kind of out of sight, out of mind kind of situations where if you don't see a particular show, it's gone. And you kind of forget about it. But I will say, and there are probably some shows in here that I have, because I've got lists that I've made, and I love a good list. It's more of a list for me to remember whether I've watched it or not. And that is the only reason why I make these lists, because I tend to forget. So, although nowadays I've sort of decided that, not specifically for shows, although I probably should do this for shows. I have a Letterboxd account. I've got a Letterboxd profile where, at least I started this year, that I would start actually journaling, I suppose, or just reviewing movies that I've watched throughout the year, mostly so that I remember what I have watched and what I thought of them, because a lot of the times, even if I remember that I've watched it down the track, I'll end up not remembering whether I liked it or not, which then goes into the whole, do I need to do a rewatch for it? And there'll also be times where I think about whether or not I have watched it or not. And then I'll be like, okay, maybe I haven't watched it. Let me watch it. Then I'll start watching it. Certain scenes will trigger my memory. And then I'll just be like, okay, yeah, I have watched this. And then I have to end up stopping watching the movie. So it kind of, I don't want to end up wasting my own time in that respect. So I have a backlogged account, but I'm only doing it for movies at this point. But I might end up doing it for TV shows or anime. Although I should have started that like at the start of the year rather than now. But anyway, doesn't matter. But going into like a list of some anime shows that I have watched in the past, that I have watched the whole series for, or at least watched a certain number of seasons, because I know there are some shows that I watched maybe 1 or 2 seasons, but the show itself has continued on for more episodes. And I just haven't gone out of my way to go back and watch them, or I haven't had a way to watch them. Like I didn't have access to a certain streaming service to be able to watch them, or they just weren't on a streaming service. But so I will sort of preface that a lot of these animes, they're very different. They're not all going to be the same. There have been some shows that I started and never finished, in the sense of I started it, I was liking it for a little while, but then stopped watching it because I either wasn't enjoying it, because the story might have gotten a bit convoluted, or if it was getting too long, or for whatever reason it might have been. Or I've, tried some shows that people have recommended to me. I'll watch a few episodes and then I'll decide whether or not I like it. There have been some that, some anime shows that weren't really for me, but was recommended to me that I should at least, give it a go. So let me have a look, because the other thing I also want to preface that some of the stuff that I have watched was recommended by another community member by the name of Blame Antics, or just Antics, if you will. And he is a massive fan of anime, and he's watched probably a lot more than I have. And so he's given me his recommendations of anime that I should check out. And there have been some that I did sort of give a chance, a lot of which I actually did vibe with, but there were some that I just wasn't a huge fan of. And I'm trying to remember, there was one in particular that I tried watching, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it, because of I think it might have been the genre of the actual show. But if it comes to mind, I will probably bring it up at some point. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of animes here that I'm going to be listing off. Let me know if you have watched any of these, whether you're keen on watching some of them, or if you have any recommendations for me to check out. And you might get a sense of the type of anime that I enjoy just by listening to this podcast, because I'm going to be going through a lot of the ones that I have enjoyed. But I will also mention some that, I kind of fell off of, or, some that I've tried and just it didn't really click. So we'll start with, and these are all going to be in alphabetical order, not necessarily of when I watch them, just, they're in order alphabetically, and that's kind of how I write these out. That's how my list goes. My list is in alphabetical order. Okay, so we're going to start with Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney is a really good one. I really enjoyed Ace Attorney. I enjoy detective style games and shows. If Ace Attorney is definitely one of those ones where it's more so in the courtroom. So it's rather than actually more detective work. Although there are episodes where they do go out and try to find evidence about certain things, which were also quite interesting to follow along with in terms of the story. The characters were really cool. I really enjoyed learning about Phoenix Wright and his history into why he wanted to become a lawyer, which was really interesting for me. And then all these other characters you come across, and the way that these people were trying to lie their way through court. And then, the way that Phoenix ends up thinking about all of the evidence and kind of pieces it together. It's just the way that Phoenix's brain works that really that had me fascinated by the show. So the writing in this particular show was really cool. The style, the visual style, the art style of the show, it is an old series, so it doesn't necessarily have all of the, it doesn't look like your, any of your Shonen Jump style animes that you might see. It is, it does have its own unique style. It's a very old, it was, I say very old, it was out in the last 10 years. I think between, 2016 and 2019. And there's only 47 episodes. I say only. That's not much considering some anime series go for hundreds of episodes. So this one ending before 50 is actually pretty good. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I would definitely recommend watching Ace Attorney if you get an opportunity to, if you have access to watching it. It's really fun. And of course, I do want to go out of my way to play the Ace Attorney video games. I believe I have Ace Attorney Chronicles, I think. Is that the name of the game? Ace Attorney... Ace Attorney games. The one that I have specifically, it's not the Phoenix Wright one. Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, maybe? No, I don't think that was it. Hold on a second. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, that's the one. I have the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on PlayStation. I started playing that game, but I think I got stuck on something, or I stopped playing and never went back to it, so it's currently shelved. I might have to do a restart on that particular game and replay it. I think because of the way that the game was more about, you need to play it through, if you're going to be playing it, you need to play it through multiple sessions, in close successions, within the week, or if I don't know how long the game goes for, but if you've got a memory like mine, you definitely want to make sure you're playing this every day so you don't forget what's happening. Because the moment you you quit out of the game and you come back and you don't remember what's happening, it's going to ruin the flow of the story, and then you're going to be stuck on something for quite some time. And I hate that feeling when it comes to video games, especially these style of detective style games. So I want to give that the video game itself another shot. But the anime itself is actually really good. I really enjoyed it. I definitely highly recommend it. So please go out of your way to check that out. Another show that I have watched, again, this is in alphabetical order, is for a series called Aharen-san is Indecipherable. This one is actually quite funny. I love this one. This particular series came out in 2022. There's only 12 episodes to it, which I'm really sad about because it could really go on for at least another 12 episodes maybe. I absolutely love the characters in this show. And it's just, I'll read the description for you so you can get a little understanding about the story. A quiet high schooler who doesn't really get the concept of personal space becomes smitten with the boy who sits next to her in class. So this is a slice of life teen comedy type of thing. And there's a lot of there's this one particular, so as you heard, she's a very small girl. They're in high school, but she's very small in her size, and she's very quiet as well. So when she speaks, she kind of mumbles a lot. And because of that, the person sitting next to her is a character by the name of, I'm pretty sure it's, what's his name? Is it Futaba, Raido? Oh no, I've forgotten the name of the actual character that I'm supposed to remember here. Raido, Raido. Yep, that's the one. So Aharen sits next to a student by the name of Raido, and Raido is a tall, lanky kind of a guy. But he's also the type of person who kind of keeps to himself as well. So Aharen and Raido end up becoming like good friends because of the way that Aharen behaves around him. So because Raido actually understands a lot of the things she says and understands her behavior as a way of trying to connect, because she's not very good with social interactions. She doesn't understand the concept of personal space. And so Raido helps her out in that respect. And it's actually really cute. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching this one. I'd highly recommend it if you get the chance. I believe it's on Crunchyroll. It should be on Crunchyroll. Let me double check for you. Yes, it is. It is definitely on Crunchyroll. So I would highly recommend going back to your Crunchyroll, check out Aharen-san is Indecipherable. Although the title on Crunchyroll is in Japanese and it says Aharen-san wa hakarenai. So, just type in Aharen-san. It should pop up. And yeah, it's good fun. Believe me, it is absolutely good fun. I would definitely recommend that one. A show that I watched years ago, and I feel like this was during my anime lab days, was a series by the name of Blue Exorcist. Now, yes, I am telling you right now, I have watched Blue Exorcist. I enjoyed watching Blue Exorcist, and it's not a genre that I would usually go out of my way to watch, but it fascinated me because it had to do with it had like some supernatural fantasy, and it had some supernatural fantasy involved. It was some drama, like there was still bits and pieces of humor put in there, but it was mostly a drama fantasy style show. And I'll read the description for you. After discovering that he's the son of Satan, a young man must join the True Cross Academy in order to master his abilities and defeat Satan himself. It's actually really cool. And I feel like this was probably the reason why I started watching Blue Exorcist was probably because of my love for Supernatural, the series, the CW show. And Supernatural itself that is one hell of a show. I absolutely love it. And I'm a huge fan of that series. And then to find an anime that has similar sort of themes around it that it's based on was actually really cool. So I really enjoyed watching Blue Exorcist. It's a Shonen Jump series, a lot of supernatural fantasy action involved. I really enjoyed it. I had so much of a fascination with it that I ended up trying to find like a wallpaper theme for my PC that I downloaded, and then it shuffled through all these different images from the anime itself. And I was really vibing with Blue Exorcist. It's really, really cool. I would definitely recommend that show. Another show that starts with the word blue, but is actually on Netflix. So this is a Netflix anime. And I'm surprised with a lot of so I haven't had Crunchyroll for quite some time. I believe the last time I had Crunchyroll, like in terms of a subscription to it, was probably back in 2022, maybe 2023, when I decided to like maybe cull down the number of subscriptions to streaming services that I had. And Crunchyroll, unfortunately, ended up being one of them at the time because I just wasn't watching as much anime at the time. And then I found, especially within the last couple of years, that Netflix started bringing in a lot of anime series to their library. So I was actually very happy to see that there was a lot of anime that I could watch there. They even had anime that was made in-house, quote unquote, published by Netflix. And one of them is for a show called Blue Period. And I actually really enjoyed this one. Blue Period, obviously based off of its manga, is essentially, I'll read the description for you. Bored with life, popular high schooler Yatora Yaguchi jumps into the beautiful yet unrelenting world of art after finding inspiration in a painting. So it's essentially a kind of a coming of age teen drama, and it's about this student who ends up going into art school and wanting to learn more about the world of art and finding his art style as well, which was really cool. So I actually really enjoyed watching this particular show. There's only 12 episodes, so it's not very long. I definitely recommend watching it. And it's just, it's very cool to see all the world of art and these people in the anime world being so creative. And I feel like people will actually relate to a lot of the things that, they see in the series itself. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're the type of person who likes to be creative, who's very artistic, or you enjoy art in general. Blue Period is definitely worth having a look at. But that one is definitely on Netflix. I don't think you'd be able to find it anywhere else. If I was to chuck it into Crunchyroll, yeah, you won't find it there. Blue Exorcist is definitely on Crunchyroll though. So if you wanted to check out Blue Exorcist, you can. But unfortunately, Blue Period is a Netflix only anime. So if you have a Netflix subscription, definitely go check it out there. Another show that I wanted to shout out, going down the list in alphabetical order as well, is for an anime that came out back in 2020 by the name of Bofuri: I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. Yes, that is the title of the show. I will give you a quick description of the series. Maple doesn't want to experience pain in the VR MMO game she started playing, so she puts all her skill points into defense until she can't even move. Somehow it works better than anyone expected. Now she's got followers. So that description pretty much explains what this show's about. It's a comedy. It's also a fantasy adventure anime. A lot of action involved, but the main character she doesn't like the idea of attacking in her video game that she's playing. So rather than, getting hurt in the video game, she would rather just have the highest of defense stats to protect herself and her friends so that nobody gets hurt, and it actually works out for her. It's really funny. I actually really enjoyed this one. so much that I was laughing for a lot of those episodes. You find all these really quirky characters in these fantasy style anime shows, and Bofuri was just one of those ones where I couldn't stop smiling half the time. And some of the things that she does to bump up her defense is weird sometimes. And then you find that it actually, works to her advantage, essentially. And it's just hilarious. I loved this one. It was really good. And definitely worth checking out. Don't let the title steer you away. It is actually quite fun. So I would highly recommend Bofuri for sure. I'm pretty sure, and I'm doing this all live for you all, so you don't have to look it up for yourselves. Bofuri is definitely on Crunchyroll at the moment, so if you'd like to go check it out, you can. And there's 24 episodes, so it's a nice short series. Definitely worth checking out. The IMDb has the Japanese title, but I cannot read it for the life of me, especially some of the bigger words. So we're not going to even attempt that here because I've already tried once off air and I'm not going to do it on air. But let me know if you have watched Bofuri because I'd love to talk to someone else who has because it's just so much fun. I think I might have to do a rewatch of that show because it's been a little while since I last watched it. The next anime I'm going to mention is for a show called Bottom Tier Character Tomozaki. And this is another one of those, teen comedies. There's a bit of rom-com involved. And IMDb describes it as a talented gamer questions real life until meeting a skilled female player who teaches him winning life strategies. This was actually quite cool. Again, teenagers, and there's romantic comedy involved, bit of slapstick humor. I believe the main character Tomozaki, I think he's quite clumsy. Is he clumsy? Am I remembering correctly? I can't remember. It's been a little while since I last watched the series itself. But he is the type of character that just isn't really... I think he's got like a social interaction issues. And so that's why a girl by the name of... I think it's Hinami? Yes. Hinami ends up helping him out in trying to, make new friends and just get through life, in high school life at least, so that, he's not just like a total loser loner. So she's there to help him out in life stuff. And she does it in a way that he understands. And because he plays so much video games, she actually helps him with life stuff by making it as if by giving like video game analogies or analogies, and it kind of works for him because in that sense, he then, when they describe it as if it was a video game, he'd be like, oh, okay, so if I do this, it'll really work out. It'll be a positive thing and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually good. It's actually a good fun show. It's 27 episodes. I believe that is on Crunchyroll, and you can go watch that as well. It's actually pretty cool. I just wanted to touch on that one. Okay, the next show on my list, we're getting into the C's now. The next anime that I want to talk about is Cells at Work. You guys, Cells at Work is a great anime series. I love it so much. It is essentially an anime show where the characters are the cells in a human body. And you get to see how these cells work within the human body for everything that happens within the human body. And it's so cool and very educational. I found this show quite educational because it absolutely made me understand how the cells work in the human body. Who knew? It's not meant to be an educational show, but it kind of works out to be that way. And it's really fun. It's a comedy as well. It's a shonen action adventure fantasy. I suppose you can call it a fantasy. And IMDb describes it as one newcomer red blood cell just wants to do her job. Between bacteria incursions and meeting a certain white blood cell, she's got a lot to learn. So a red blood cell and a white blood cell become really good friends in this world, in this universe of the human body. And you come across all these different characters that are different cells in the body. And the way that they're animated in the show is so cool. Of course, yeah, cells aren't supposed to look like humans, but in the case of an anime, that's fine. It makes it easier to understand what's happening. And it's actually quite fascinating. So you'll have like a narrator sort of over the top of this show talking a lot. But most of the time, you don't always hear the narrator, but the narrator is there. But you'll have your red blood cells, you'll have your macrophage, you'll have dendritic cells, you'll have cancer cells, helper T cells, killer T cells, bacteria, viruses, all these different types of cells that have become characters in this show. And it just shows you how it all works. I don't know. I couldn't get enough of it, to the point where I ended up watching the spin-off show, Cells at Work Code Black. And Code Black, so where Cells at Work is in a healthy human body, or mostly healthy human body, Cells at Work Code Black is actually an unhealthy human body. So that particular show revolves around an unhealthy human body where they're a smoker, they don't exercise, they don't eat well, there's all these different kinds of like viruses or bacteria. So this person gets sick a lot. And then it's like other cells that you see within this particular human body finding ways of getting around and sort of getting through life, quote unquote. So it's actually a really fascinating anime that is unintentionally educational, at least for me. And I really loved it. So I would definitely recommend watching Cells at Work if you get a chance to. And if you're remotely curious about how the human body works in a heightened reality sort of way. So Cells at Work and Cells at Work Code Black are both on Crunchyroll. And yeah, definitely worth checking out. They're probably one of my top tier shows, anime shows. I love them so much. And at one point, I did get a chance to meet the lead voice actor in Cells at Work, who plays the red blood cell, Charami Lee, who's also obviously a voice actor of many other anime characters in the English dub world. And she is absolutely awesome. I absolutely love her. She's also the voice actor for Lucy Heartfilia in one of my other favorite animes, Fairy Tail. I love Fairy Tail. That was also the year that she came down for a convention. I believe it was for an anime it was for an anime fest, an anime convention. And that year I ended up dressing up as Lucy Hartfilia so that I could go meet her. And it was so cool. And yeah, Charami Lee is an amazing voice actor. You'll definitely recognize her voice in a lot of different shows. And I've always been picking up on her voice everywhere I watch an anime. So whether she's a lead character, whether she's a supporting character, she's everywhere. Her voice is very distinctive. So you'll definitely recognize it, even if, she's playing many different roles. Yeah, Cells at Work. Highly, highly recommend. One of my favorites. I'm going to go into another anime. Now, this anime was first released back in 2002. So it's quite old. It is, holy moly, it is 23 years old. Wow. It is for a anime by the name of Chobits. Now, I had a DVD. I had the DVD collection for this show, but unfortunately, I don't know what happened to it. I think someone borrowed it and never gave it back to me. It might have been an old friend that I no longer speak to anymore, and I don't know who it was. Or it somehow got lost in some form or another. I don't know what happened, but I really want to get the Chobits DVD collection again because it was a really good anime series. It really was. And the description reads, Hideki finds the discarded and malfunctioning Persocom Chi, a personal computer that looks like a girl. While trying to fix and care for Chi, Hideki discovers that she might be a Chobits, a robot of urban legend that has free will. So essentially, this show is a Persocom is a personal computer. So they've just sort of amalgamated those two words together and called them Persocom. So they're kind of like android, sort of human-looking robots that people can have as in their life, like people who are, wanting companionship because they've lost a loved one, or they need a Persocom in their life for, like as a maid kind of a situation. They come in male and female forms, and you can tell that they're computers, they're Persocoms, because of the sort of like what looks like ears attached to the side of their heads. But they just look very cute and very human-like, very doll-like. And Chi, this particular Persocom Chi, was a discarded one that this guy Hideki ends up finding in a next to a trash heap. And he's been looking into getting a Persocom himself, but unfortunately he's poor, or he just doesn't have enough money. And when he finds Chi, he thinks, "Oh, score! I just found myself a free Persocom. If I just fix it up, she'd be of good use to me." But he doesn't realize the way that Chi works. She learns a lot, kind of like an AI, and ends up having her own sort of like thoughts and feelings. Very naive to begin with. And so Hideki is trying to protect her a lot, and to stop her from going into the wrong places and getting other people ended up, trying to steal her away. At some point, he finds out, I think he's done some sort of research and finds out that she could potentially be what's known as a Chobits, which is like a higher form of robot that he is saying that is, so legendary that nobody's really seen him before. So it's a really cool series. There's a lot of like lore behind it, and I really enjoyed the story as it played along. This also has about 27 episodes, so if you are interested in checking it out, you can. However, Chobits is one of those shows where it is very difficult to find to watch. It is not on Crunchyroll, unfortunately. I don't know where you can find it to watch it. You would definitely have to maybe buy the DVD box set for this, but even then, it's not easy to find, as I have tried looking for it for myself because I really want to have it again in my life so that I could do a rewatch of that show because it was really good. The art style, you'll be able to tell that it is very sort of old school kind of an art style, but it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. I just wish I could find it again so that I can rewatch it. Well, yeah, it's one of those things, really, unfortunately. Going into another and probably the last of the C anime titles is for a very sad show by the name of Clannad After Story. Now, IMDb has a description written, a high school student who cares little about school or his future decides to help a lonely girl repeating her final year in re-establishing the school's drama club. So, this is a really sad story, and it made me cry quite a bit. So we have the girl that they're referring to is by the name of Nagisa Furukawa, and the guy they're referring to is by the name of Tomoya Okazaki. It's one of those type of shows where, you know, she's unfortunately has this illness, and she because of her illness, she's had to repeat her final year of school a few times because she'd miss out on classes because of her sickness, because she'd also have to, you know, spend time at the hospital or spend time at home to, you know, to get better and all that sort of stuff. And because of that, she'd end up missing out on so many classes that she'd have to, because her attendance was so low, she'd end up having to repeat the year again, which is really sad because, you know, the fact that the school's not really allowing her to kind of finish the year because of how strict it is about attendance, that was really, you know, it's really sad. But then, you know, you've got Tomoya, who is, you know, who doesn't give a rat's ass about school at all, but finds out about Nagisa, and he just wants to help her finish school, and he does it because because, you know, out of the goodness of his heart, kindness of his heart. And, you know, finds out that she's really into, you know, drama, that she wants to be in a play. And so they find a way to put together like a little a school play with the drama club. And it's just really sweet, but it's also very emotional. And then, you know, there are certain things I really don't want to give away other things that happen in this show, mostly because I'm not remembering half of it. But it's actually a really, really good anime series that I would definitely recommend checking out if you're into that kind of emotional sort of drama anime. It's actually got some comedy involved in there. There is some good humor in it too. But yeah, it makes you feel quite sad when you're watching it. Clannad After Story, definitely worth checking out. There's 49 episodes, so it is a little bit longer than some of the ones that I have mentioned before. But I loved it so much. I'm just wondering, I actually do have the DVD as well. I loved it so much that I found the DVD box set and just bought the whole thing. No matter how much it costs, I was like, I don't care. I want it in my life. Yeah, it's really good. I loved it. It's unfortunately not on Crunchyroll. I'm not sure whether you'd be able to find it anywhere else to stream it at least. Let me see. I think is it a series or is it a movie? What am I thinking it is? No, it's a series. Yeah, it's definitely a series. I think there's also a movie to it as well. After Story animated series. There we go. So you can actually stream it on Apple TV. It's a Clannad After Story is available on Apple TV. So if you have Apple TV subscription, you'd be able to watch it there. Otherwise, the only other way you can watch this is by buying the DVD itself. But it's a really good series. I would definitely recommend checking that out. Just be prepared to, be hit with feels. That's all. Just saying. Okay, going into some other anime shows in my alphabetically ordered list. I've got a show here that I don't even remember watching, but it's here, so it means I've watched it. Now, I'm wondering whether if I see the actual artwork, will I remember it? Okay. So the anime series that I am referring to here is called Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? Now I remember. So IMDb describes it as when she turns 10 years old, Adele Von Asham is hit with a horrible headache and memories of her previous life as an 18-year-old Japanese girl named Kurihara Misato. Now, this character this is set in a fantasy world. It's an isekai action adventure comedy. And essentially, Adele is reincarnated or is reborn, but she ends up being reborn with like really high. So if you're thinking RPG, think of like a really high stats character. Someone that has so many like great abilities. And all Adele wanted was to live a normal life and not have to worry about all of those things that she did in her past life. And it's really fun. You come across all these different quirky characters, and there are like she's trying not to have any kind of attention drawn to her, but things happen around her that it can't be helped, and so she has to end up fixing things, and because of that, people start wanting to hang around her more, and that's how she gains like a group of new friends. And it's actually really, really cool. It's quite funny. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth watching if you like your fantasy style anime. Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? Is definitely a good one. It is a strange title, to say the least. Like, sometimes I laugh at these titles for anime shows, and I'm like, who came up with this? Like, they couldn't figure out a shorter version of that. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of touch on that one. It's really good. Definitely would recommend. And there's 12 episodes, so it's very short, very digestible, and very fun. Another anime that I want to talk about that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, that this is an anime that has actually gone on for quite some time, but I myself have not gone out of my way to watch all of the episodes. And it is for an anime called Fire Force. Now, I've only seen season 1 of Fire Force. I enjoyed what I got from it in season 1, but I think I didn't end up continuing on with this particular show only because of the themes surrounding it. Now, given the fact that this is based on supernatural fantasy, it's another drama style anime, and the fact that I have watched Blue Exorcist, you'd think, why didn't you finish this, Fulia? This sounds like right up your alley. You would definitely enjoy it. I enjoyed Fire Force for that one season, and then I stopped watching it at the time because there were a lot of other anime that piqued my interest more, and they weren't so dark. So this is a very dark fantasy anime. It's a shonen jump as well. So it's very in the style of Blue Exorcist. And, it's essentially a superhuman firefighter force is formed to deal with supernatural fire incidents. So essentially, this is a group of, I'm going to say they're kind of like spirit, demon, ghost kind of hunters, but they're there to extinguish fires that were made from supernatural incidents, from supernatural beings, I should say. And it's really cool. It's definitely unique in its story. And I was enjoying it at the time, but I think it was just one of those style of shows where it's a little bit too dark for my liking. It's not a bad show by any means, but just for my personal preference, it was quite dark. And yeah, it got into quite a few sort of really sort of deep points in the story where it would you'd get some flashbacks about certain characters, especially the main character. So I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't sure that it was one of those things. It was one of those things where when I watch a show and it has a lot of darkness to it, I tend to not watch too much of it, and I end up swaying away from it for a while, sometimes to the point where, like with Fire Force, I never get back to it. But it's still a good show. So if you do enjoy those dark kind of supernatural style anime series, definitely give this a go. I'm just the type of person who prefers the more lighthearted stuff if I can help it. And, more comedy as well. But Fire Force is available on Crunchyroll. There is 48 episodes available, so you can go and watch it over on Crunchyroll if you shall please. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have actually watched it all the way through. It doesn't look like it has an end year, so I have a feeling they're still working on more episodes for this particular show. Potentially a season 3 coming. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's there. So if you'd like to go watch it, you can. A show that I absolutely love and that you must watch, though, it is 100%. You have to go watch this because it is absolutely wonderful and beautiful and emotional and all the things, is Fruits Basket. Now, I actually started reading the manga online back when I was at uni over a decade ago. And I actually really liked what the story was about. And I think I'd only read a few chapters of the first volume, but I think because it was during uni time, and at that time I was too really stressed about all the homework I had to do and all the assignments and whatever. I never got back to reading it, but I had it bookmarked in. I had it bookmarked in my browser for quite some time. But I just never went back to finish it because, a long time had passed and I had forgotten what had gone on. Then I found out Fruits Basket had an anime available, so I started watching it. It is beautiful. It is emotional. It really hits you in the feels. And it's so good. I do not understand why this show is it is the best thing I've ever seen in an anime series. And you fall in love with the characters a lot. Another supernatural fantasy, but it's more of a teen comedy drama romance. There is some romance involved. And IMDb describes it: after Toru is taken in by the Soma family, she learns that 12 family members transform involuntarily into animals of the Chinese zodiac and helps them deal with the emotional pain caused by the transformations. So, these characters that Toru meets or interacts with, who are part of the Soma family, who turn into the Chinese zodiac animals, they transform when they end up touching, hugging, whatever in some form. They transform when they touch someone of the opposite sex to them. And it's, for them, a lot of them feel like it's a curse. But some of them, don't mind. Others, a lot of them, though, absolutely hate it. It's because it means that they can't have regular relationships with regular humans. But it is really sweet. There is a lot of heart in this particular series. I believe the manga I've never actually been able to go back to the manga itself. I would love to. But I know that it's a very long series. So I don't know whether I'd be able to get around to actually reading it all. Let alone actually finding the manga series itself, because the manga series is very expensive because they're very thick volumes. I'd love to own it though. It'd be amazing if I could. It's such a good story. I love this story. But yeah, there's a lot of teen romance involved. There's some comedy in it, but it's just a lot of heart and emotion, and the art style is beautiful too. And I fell in love with this show really hard. So yeah, I would highly, highly recommend watching Fruits Basket if you do enjoy those style of anime. It is available on Crunchyroll. You can go watch it there. I also see that the original Fruits Basket from 2001 is also available to watch, where that one is a 1 season, 26 episodes. The newer version is 4 seasons, 64 episodes. So it's a little bit longer. So they've actually stretched out the story. I'm actually keen on going back and watching the 2001 version just to see how it compares. Because it's going to be the same story, but I'm just wondering what the difference is in how they did it back then to then doing a reboot of it into 2019. Because it's so good. I love the story. Go watch it. Just do it. Now, I'm going to touch on one live action series, but it's based on a character that doesn't actually have an anime series, I think. No, I don't believe it does. So, Gudetama is a fictional character. He is a lazy egg. The only thing is, Gudetama doesn't really have a show, but he is part of the Sanrio family of characters. I love Gudetama. I relate to Gudetama quite a lot. But Gudetama actually was just a character made for merchandising before it got so popular to a point where it ended up getting its own live action Netflix series that I just wanted to quickly touch on here. Because my goodness, did I absolutely love this show. Gudetama, the live action, and it's titled Gudetama, An Excellent Adventure. Really good. So good. And it's also very cute. And the way that they end up, coming across all these different variations of a Gudetama egg is really cool too. The live action just worked really well. I watched it in both Japanese and in English dub. So I watched it through twice. That's how much I loved it. It is a very easy watch. It is probably, how many episodes is it? It's, oh my goodness, I'm just going to have a quick look. Gudetama, An Excellent Adventure, that came out in 2022. There's only 10 episodes. They're 10 episodes. They're 10 minutes each. It is easily digestible in one sitting. One sitting, that's all you need. So good. So good. I know this one's not technically an anime per se, but I had to mention it. Because I loved it. And yeah, can relate to Gudetama. I like being lazy. Lazy's good. Lazy's... It's just nice to be lazy sometimes, But yeah, no, go check out Gudetama if you have Netflix, for sure. Easy recommend. I feel like we're going really long into this particular podcast. So I'm going to sort of skip over some stuff that some anime shows that I don't really remember too much of. But sticking to Netflix, I will say Komi Can't Communicate is another one that you should go check out. It is essentially about a high school student who has social anxieties, is unable to make friends because of it, and she comes across another student that she sits next to, and he ends up helping her be a little bit more comfortable in social situations. But it does take her a little bit of time getting used to it all. And, she's very soft-spoken, very quiet, but it's so adorable, and it's also quite funny. Definitely would recommend checking out Komi Can't Communicate on Netflix. And another Netflix one that I also want to mention is Kotaro Lives Alone. That particular series has a really interesting look in terms of its art style. And I really enjoyed that one. It's essentially this little kid who ends up renting an apartment by himself. And I'll read the IMDb description. A lonely little boy moves into a ramshackle apartment building all on his own and makes friends with the broke manga artist who lives next door. So essentially, he's the only kid living in this block of apartments, and it's an interesting one. It's a slice of life comedy style anime, and he's just like, I think he's about maybe kindergarten age, and yeah, he's just surrounded by these different adults who are trying to help him through life. He's got no parents, and it's just really fun watching this little kid trying to live an adult life at the age of like I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years old. And he ends up, making friends with, a guy that's living next door to him, and he ends up having to, always help him with a lot of things. I can't believe that Charami Lee actually voiced Kotaro Sato, the little kid. That is surprising. That one I didn't actually pick up myself. I really did not pick that up at all. But that is really cool. So yeah, it's funny. But it also has some heart to it as well, because, you get into the story of why Kotaro is alone, where he's getting the money from. I think it's like from, Social Security or something like that. He's getting money. I think money sent to him from someone. And yeah, it's really cute and it's funny. And yeah, it's worth your time. It's on Netflix. There's only 10 episodes. And yeah, I enjoyed it. So it's definitely worth the watch. Another one that I want to jump into that I really enjoyed, that I ended up getting the box set for because I loved it so much, is for an anime called My Dress Up Darling. Don't judge me, people. It's actually a really funny anime. I love it. It's 13 episodes. They're 24-minute duration episodes. It's essentially, we've got, high school students and, oh my goodness, what is the lead character's name? So his name is Wakana Gojo. And he's a bit of a quiet loner type of person, but he really enjoys creating outfits for little dolls. And he finds out that a schoolmate of his, by the name of Marin Kitagawa, she loves cosplay. But unfortunately, she doesn't know how to sew. And when she finds out that Gojo is really good at sewing and creating costumes for these dolls, she thought, hey, this guy can actually make outfits for me. He can make my cosplays. And kind of uses him for that. And it's so funny because Gojo, being such a quiet sort of, keeps to himself type of person, he ends up becoming friends with this girl because he had no choice. But he found out that this would be a great way for him to practice more of his, sewing skills but ends up helping out Marin with her cosplay dreams, because that's all she really wants. And she ends up getting him to also take photos of her. They go places to take these photos in her cosplays that he makes. And she's always so smitten by them. But a lot of this is the comedy part of it that comes in. A lot of the cosplays that she wants to wear are for characters that are very not all of them. Some of the cosplays are quite racy, or they show off a lot of skin, or they show off parts of her body that Gojo ends up getting quite embarrassed about. If you understand what I'm trying to say here. It is a rom-com slice of life coming of age story. It is probably more suited to the adults, this particular show. I'm just going to put that out there. But it's good fun. If you love cosplay, if you like that sort of like creative aspect of cosplay, this is probably one to check out as well. Just, don't watch it in front of the kids. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing else. You'll find out when you watch it. It's 13 episodes long and it's fairly new. So it came out in 2022. It's a mini series. So I don't think we're going to get any more episodes. I was really looking forward to more episodes of this show, but unfortunately there are none. We're not going to get any more, but that's okay. I am happy with what we have. I need to do a rewatch of this show as well. I believe My Dress Up Darling is available on Crunchyroll. So if you want to go check it out, you can. It's good fun. Believe me. Please believe me. I have also watched One Punch Man. That is another anime series I have watched. A lot of you will probably have heard of this particular show. And it's about a person who trains so hard that he can kill a person with one punch. Hence the name One Punch Man. You don't need to know anything else. It's very good. It's very funny and definitely worth checking out as well. I don't know if is One Punch Man available to watch on Crunchyroll? No. Okay, so One Punch Man is not available on Crunchyroll, unfortunately. But you might be able to find it somewhere else. I'm not 100% sure. But definitely have a look into it. I watched it during the Anime Lab days, so that was quite some time ago. I don't think Crunchyroll has the rights to it, but yeah. Have a look for it and give it a go. I've mentioned already that Sailor Moon is definitely one of those shows that I absolutely love. I have pretty much watched the main Sailor Moon series. I think I've also watched the Crystal series. I've tried to watch every season of Sailor Moon that I could find, but I'm not sure if I've missed any. So I think I've watched all of the Sailor Moon shows. I haven't watched the Sailor Moon films. I do have a couple of them on Blu-ray, which I do want to go out of my way to watch. But I haven't actually watched the movies yet. But I have seen most of the shows. So yeah, Sailor Moon, always good fun. Definitely worth checking out. Your Lie in April. Your Lie in April, I will first off mention it is available on Netflix, and I believe, and on Crunchyroll. So you can watch it on Netflix and Crunchyroll. So you got two places to watch it. Your Lie in April is an emotional one. It is a 22 episode show, and it's actually really it's centered around music. It's a slice of life, coming of age story. There is some humor to it, but as the IMDb description says, a piano prodigy who lost his ability to play after suffering a traumatic event in his childhood is forced back into the spotlight by an eccentric girl with a secret of her own. So, yeah, that is pretty much what this show is about. It's about, overcoming some fears and some anxieties to go out and perform again. But, I think it's, Kosei Arima is the pianist that they're referring to. And the girl that they're referring to is Kaori Miyazono. And she is a violinist. And they go to a really high esteemed music school. And they do, and it's like a lot of classical pieces that they perform. Unfortunately, Kosei is the kid that ended up suffering a traumatic event in their childhood that stopped him from being able to play the piano again. But then Kaori comes into his life and kind of pushes him back into playing piano because she needed a pianist for her performance, or like to be able to practice her violin play. And it was really sort of a sweet and very touching kind of series. It definitely will hit you in the feels. I really enjoyed Your Lie in April. I did cry in some of the episodes, but it is still really good. Definitely worth checking out. Your Yuri on Ice. Oh my goodness, guys! If you haven't watched Yuri on Ice, you are missing out. Absolutely missing out on really amazing ice skating. If you like that kind of thing, if you like ice skating or figure skating, I should say, Yuri on Ice is a figure skating comedy, drama, romance style of show. And read the description for you. After suffering defeat, Yuri Katsuki hangs up his ice skates for good. But will an encounter with two top skaters reignite his passion? Well, it does. I mean, why else would they have a series about it? It's 12 episodes, so it's a limited series, and it's a beautiful story about figure skating and bringing yourself, just like Your Lie in April, kind of going back into it, building your self-esteem and your confidence to get your skates back on and go back out on the ice and just go for it and practice as much as possible until you know that you are at your best for competing. And there's just so much about this show that I absolutely love. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not a figure skater, but I have skated. I would never be able to do any of the things that a figure skater could do, let alone a lot of the things that you see in Yuri on Ice. But it's definitely worth checking out. The music in this show is also absolutely gorgeous. I could also say the same for Your Lie in April. Because it's a music-based show, Your Lie in April has some beautiful music soundtrack to it. And of course, the piano and the violin playing that you get in the show as well is absolutely gorgeous. Yuri on Ice is no exception. You get a really good soundtrack in this. And it's just good fun. And meeting all these different quirky characters, all ice skaters. Some of them I think a lot of them are from like different countries around the world. And yeah, it's just really cool. I absolutely love it. I won't go into movies just because that is a whole other category because I've watched so many anime movies. I just wanted to really touch on the anime shows I've seen. There are some that I haven't mentioned. One that I should mention is probably one of my favorite ones, of course, Fairy Tail. That Fairy Tail is an anime that I absolutely love. I believe that is a Shonen Jump series, I think. Yeah, it is. It's heavily fantasy-based. Lot of supernatural abilities. There, you got a lot of wizards in this particular show who wield magic abilities, and you got people who are dragon slayers that you'll come across. And it's just, Fairy Tail is a guild, so the name of a guild, and the characters are just awesome, and they're funny, and they all have their own sort of different personalities. They've got strong personalities in there. Lucy Heartfilia is kind of narrating the show, and because she's technically the lead character in this, even though she's more of a You don't really see her as the lead character, but then you find out later on why she is, and why she's the one narrating. It's actually really cool. I love it so much. That to the point where I ended up cosplaying as Lucy Ophelia. So it's a really fun show. I will say it is a long series. Probably one of the longest ones that I have seen, at 339 episodes. It ran for 10 years. But it's really good. I loved it. The action scenes that you get in this show is amazing. I've seen some Shonen Jumps, like, for instance, your Dragon Ball Z. I've gone out of my way to try and watch some One Piece, so I'm kind of in the middle of, like, I know this is probably bad timing on my part to get into One Piece right now, but I originally did start watching One Piece, maybe like back in my early 20s, and I think I got through the first season, and back then trying to watch anime online was not easy. And so, yeah, I think I got through the first season, so the first 60 episodes, and then I ended up stopping and not watching it. Then the Netflix live action decided to come out, and I was like, ooh, okay, now I'm interested. I need to check this out. I decided at the time that when I found out that the One Piece live action show was going to be very short in its season, I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, and also at the same time, they brought in the One Piece anime series to Netflix to coincide with the live action, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and watch these an episode at a time, or just I'm going to watch the one episode of the live action and then see where it ends, and then I'll watch the anime version, get to a point where, I watch the episodes where the live action sort of ends but because obviously in the live action version, they've condensed it down. That's why it's so short, and they've cut out a lot of fluff, I suppose. Even though technically I feel like it's not fluff. So they ended up condensing it a lot for the live action version. I kind of made it hard for myself to keep up with the show. So I got to I went through the first 3 episodes of the live action and trying to watch the anime series side by side to compare it in a way. And then I thought, you know what? I need to stop doing that and just watch the live action right through, and then go to the anime, and then just continue watching the anime from there. And then, yeah. And so far, I have gotten as far as episode 196, which is, pretty good for me, considering that I don't watch anime too often, well, as often as I used to. But I managed to get to a point where I'm now up to episode 196. I know this is small potatoes. There's still like hundreds and hundreds of episodes before I can even catch up to where it is currently. It's an investment that I've decided to take on. I know. I am planning on going back to continuing on with One Piece, the anime, of course. But for now, I'm just holding off so that I can go out of my way, because I know the season 2 of the live action is coming soon. It probably won't be available until maybe 2026, because they've only kind of been recently filming it. So I don't know. The live action season 2 might be coming by the end of 2025, but I have a feeling it probably won't come out until 2026 at the earliest. That's at least my thought. But we'll see. We'll see. As I mentioned before, I have watched Dragon Ball. So I ended up watching Dragon Ball, the whole series. And then I went into Dragon Ball Z and I watched the whole series of that. And then I kind of got burnt out of watching Dragon Ball. So once I finished Dragon Ball Z, I stopped and I never went back to watch Super. Now, I feel like I've got enough Dragon Ball lore and like watchings of it that I really don't need to go into Super. And considering how far it's come as well, I feel like there's more, like they've made movies as well to coincide with the show. I don't know that I'll be able to catch up to that. I say that considering that I started watching One Piece. And I know that Dragon Ball Super is probably not as bad. But I think I got a little burnt out from watching Dragon Ball for a while. Mostly because of the whole OP characters. I know that's the whole point of the show. But it just, it was getting to a point where it was getting a bit too much for me. And I think I just burnt myself out from watching it so much that I really needed quite a long break from it. Whether or not I'll end up going back to Dragon Ball Super, whether I'll actually end up watching it, I don't know. At this point, there are so many other shows that, I am more willing to watch compared to, Super. I know that Dragon Ball Super is available on Crunchyroll, so I could technically go and watch it. But I've also been hearing a lot of good things about Dragon Ball Daima, which is a new series that has just released recently. And it has me kind of curious. So I feel like, and I think I'm able to go and watch Dragon Ball Daima more so just because of the fact that it revolves around the characters from Dragon Ball Z and not Super. So I don't actually have to worry too much about learning about the characters because I already know them. So I'm kind of considering maybe going out of my way to watch Dragon Ball Daima. So that's definitely kind of on the list to watch. That'd be pretty cool to check out. I will say also another show that I have been watching, but these shows are currently on hold for me at the moment because they were on a service that I didn't have access to. So at the time I didn't have access to Crunchyroll for a while. I've only just reinstated my Crunchyroll subscription today at the time of recording. And I need to go back and finish off Kaguya-sama Love is War, which is a rom-com teen drama slice of life. Kind of, really? No, not really. No, scratch that. Not a slice of life. It is just a teen drama rom-com show. And it is funny. I'm actually enjoying it. It's definitely worth checking out. That is on Crunchyroll. I am currently up at season 3 at the moment, so I do need to go back and finish it off. I also started watching The Devil is a Part-Timer on Crunchyroll. I'm currently at season 2 because, as I said, I didn't have access to Crunchyroll at the time. So it was, on hold for that duration. I am currently... I need to go and finish off Food Wars, one of my other favorite anime shows that I have gone out of my way to buy the full manga set. 36 volumes, people. I went out of my way to buy them all. I've only read 9 volumes. But Food Wars is an absolute favorite of mine. It's such a great show. It is about a culinary school, very elite culinary school where students go to become, very well-established chefs in, your Michelin star restaurants, or, those type of chefs who want to continue on with a family business, or they want to open up their own restaurant, that sort of thing. So these are just students who want to become chefs, but it's such a high esteemed school that you have to do so well or you'll end up getting expelled. That is how high class these students are when it comes to, cooking. But then you watch them cook, and a lot of the dishes that they make, even though it is animated, they absolutely look stunning and they make you feel so hungry. And it's almost like you can smell it through the TV because that's how good these dishes look. It is so nice. The other caveat to this, though, is that the judges who end up trying these food, or anyone who ends up trying these dishes that are so tasty, so delicious, it ends up getting them to disrobe instantly, and they have these very, I'm gonna use the word erotic kind of look to them. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really funny. Definitely something that you should not watch around kids. Look, there is no real nudity. It is covered up. Like there's you don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. It's just the way that they end up disrobing due to the high amount of excitement they have through their taste buds when eating this food that they end up eating. And it's really hard to describe without seeing it for yourself, but it is really funny. But I just love it because of the whole, these students are so determined to become high-class chefs that they will do anything. And the whole point of the title Food Wars, which in Japanese is a shokugeki. So a shokugeki is where they challenge, one student will challenge another student, or they might challenge a teacher or an instructor there at the school, and they will have a food war, shokugeki, where there might be a reason, but there has to be a reason why they throw down the gloves for a food war. A lot of the times it has something to do with maybe, a student was, not rightfully expelled, and, they've been expelled for no reason, or they weren't given a second chance because that's how strict they are. It could be because this school also has their specific clubs as well, like a normal, other high schools might have. And, these clubs might lose funding from the school. So they decide to do a shokugeki to fight for their right to have that funding. All sorts of different reasons why they would have a shokugeki. And that sort of, you see the level of determination in a lot of these students' faces that they really want to do well. But you'll have the main lead character of this show. His name is Yukihira Soma. So Soma comes from a family-owned restaurant with his dad, and his dad ends up sending him to this school, this cooking school by the name of Totsuki. And this is where you see Soma really thrive and learn so much about cooking. Yeah, definitely go check out Food Wars if you can. It is available on Crunchyroll. I will say, though, season 5 and any of the episodes after that, I think there might be OVA episodes as well. Unfortunately, there is, well, I say unfortunately because that's me. Unfortunately for me, the fifth season onwards doesn't have an English dub. And the only reason why I say unfortunately is, and this, I should have said this probably at the beginning of the episode, but you're getting it now at an hour and 45 minutes in. I have a hard time keeping up with the subtitles. For whatever reason, I just can't keep up with it, and I miss a lot of the things that are said in the episodes when I have the Japanese dub on with the English subtitles. I am not a fast reader, so trying to keep up with the words on the screen, especially considering how quickly they talk as well, it's a bit of a challenge for me. So that's why I generally find myself wanting to watch my anime with an English dub if I can. But if there is a show that I really enjoy that there's no English dub for at all, or that I'm just really interested in checking out, but there is no English dub for it, I'll still go out of my way to watch it. It's not like I'm not going to watch it at all. It's one of those type of things where I definitely need to make sure I'm paying attention to the screen to make sure I don't miss out on anything. That's kind of how I ended up watching through, I think there was like a chunk of episodes in Fairy Tail that didn't end up having any English dubs to it. I think it was probably about 10 episodes somewhere in there in the last sort of season. There was like a chunk of episodes that didn't have an English dub. And so I didn't want to wait for the English dub to come out. And I ended up watching it with the subtitles on instead. But it was just very hard to keep up with. And I don't recall a lot of the things that happened, even though the visual of it, like I can see what's happening and I can get the gist of it. But a lot of the stuff that they're talking about may not have anything to do with the action that's happening on the screen. So that's why I kind of prefer being able to watch it with an English dub if I can. And with Food Wars, the season 5, unfortunately, and the OVAs don't have an English dub made for them. I don't know whether they will have it available, considering that these episodes have been out for a while. They've been out for like 4.5 years now. But yeah, I'm just probably going to have to suck it up and just watch the rest of the show in Japanese for now. And yeah, that way I'll be able to finish it. Then I have, of course, My Hero Academia, which I still need to go back and finish off season 6. My Hero Academia is available on Crunchyroll. There's even there's a couple of movies out as well, I think, and I haven't even gotten to that point yet. But I am currently on season 6, episode 135. So I haven't technically finished. I'm a few episodes away from finishing season 6 by the looks of things. And then I've also got the season 6 OVA. And then I think there's season 7. So yeah, I've got like a little bit of season 6 left and then a whole season 7 to get to. So that's going to be me trying to finish that off. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. I've got so many anime series that I need to go back to. Not to mention the fact that Antix's recommendations list is massive. So if I find myself doom scrolling through Crunchyroll trying to find something to watch, I can probably go back to Antix's recommendations, which, if you are interested, please let me know, and I'll see, I can maybe do like a little random pick for you to see if you've watched any of these here. I will also say I have watched Cardcaptor Sakura not the original series, but Clear Card, I think is the name. I finally found myself watching that. I think it was on Netflix, I think. No, it was on Netflix. I found the Clear Card series on Blu-ray at work. I work at a retail store that sells a lot of DVDs, including anime. And I just came across it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a go. Did not realize that it wasn't the original series. It was actually like a follow-up series to it. But it was still good fun. I really enjoyed it. So that's definitely a highly recommendation from me. But yeah, I could go on and on about my favorite animes and animes that I've watched and animes that I want to watch. But I feel like if I go on any further, this is going to be a lot longer than what it is right now, which is creeping up to the 2-hour mark. And we could go on forever. But rest assured, there might be another podcast episode about anime. Maybe next time it'll be about the movies that I've seen, or maybe it'll be like specifically a themed one. Like maybe I could, you know what? I could probably do an episode about Studio Ghibli movies. There you go. There's an option for you. If you like that idea, I will definitely have that ready to go for you. Later down the road, if you would like that, you can let me know if you want to hear my thoughts on the Studio Ghibli films. But yeah, if there are any recommendations on anime that you think I might enjoy, let me know. Send me a message somewhere on socials. You can also jump into the Discord as well. And recommend some anime for me and others over there. We have an anime channel specifically for recommending and watching along. We used to do a lot more watch-alongs of anime shows. I really want to get back into that. So if you'd like to do that, come on by. We have fun there. We're a small little tight-knit community. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. I could go on, but I feel like I'd be... Anyway, let's stop there before I get into another rant. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoy the Many Thoughts I Have podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. Remember that you can also comment on each episode over on Spotify, and I will endeavor to read any review or comment that comes my way on the show. So would really much appreciate that. To keep up with me, you can follow me on socials at Foolish Fuji on Blue Sky and Instagram. If you'd like to check out my video content and more, you can head over to my website, foolishfuji.com. All the links will be in the show notes. That's it from me. Remember to look after yourself and your mental health, and happy thinking, friends. And watch more anime.